daughter.
So you show that they can turn their lives around.
Exactly.
And it doesn't stop just in the courtroom. You've kind of helping folks. I know you've written 3 books. Your 3rd book out right now regarding divorce dads, how to be a good divorce dad. And you got a special letter from a special person on that, didn't you?
I was very fortunate to get a wonderful letter endorsing my new book from President Obama. And I was honored to get that support from the president of our country.
Now, Father's Day. What message do you have out there for fathers right now, would you say?
2 messages. 1, don't give up hope. And remember that Father's Day is only one day, but it's a lifelong memory.
Definitely. How do you teach these, especially the ex-offenders, to turn their lives around and become good dads when they weren't in the beginning? Is it easy or hard for them?
Well, it's difficult for them, but anything worth having is difficult. And there's one ex-offender I worked with, and now he's positively involved in a relationship with his daughter, and he's working, and he's turned his life around. But that's because he knows that his daughter cares, and there are people that care about him. Unfortunately, most ex-offenders are kicked to the curb. They're not considered parents, and many are pushed through injustices back into the prison system where they don't belong.
So you're saying that it's society's fault?
No, it's not society's fault. But I believe society should try and help solve this problem because it costs a fortune to house inmates. And that affects taxpayers everywhere, and it doesn't help a lot of these men housing them when instead, upon release from a prior prison term, they can be trained and rehabilitated to function in society and support their families and their children, opposed to end up thrown back into the prison system.
Do you believe deep down most fathers want to be fathers to their children?
Definitely. I strongly believe most fathers want to be dads. There was one ex-offender who wanted to be a dad terribly, and he was supposed to come in my office. We were planning on meeting on how to reunite him with his children, and unfortunately, he was recently shot and killed in allegedly a gang-related shooting. And I feel terrible about it because here's a father who finally started to turn around, and he's another statistic in Chicago because of this problem that just can't get solved, but needs to be solved and can be solved.
How?
1, we need to focus on educating young boys as to the importance of fatherhood, because right now a lot of young boys, they don't know what the definition of maleness is.
But don't they need a male positive role model?
And they don't have one.
Yeah.
And a boy can't be what he can't see.
Right.
And that's a big problem.
Yeah. So we as a society need to do what? I mean, do we need to foster these kids? What do we need to do?
We need to work on re-engaging biological fathers in positive relationships with their children. And if there is no biological father available, we need to find an appropriate father figure.
I think that's kind of the general theme we've got today. There needs to be some kind of a positive role model in everyone's lives, men and girls and boys.
Exactly.
Pretty much. Tell me a little more about your new book, How to Be a Good Divorced Dad. I mean, they're sometimes between a rock and a hard place, aren't they?
Exactly. There are young boys that are fathers, and they don't know how to be a father, and they don't have a father, and they're still children. They need support and education and job training. That's a big problem. There are homeless fathers, incarcerated fathers, and there are even good fathers out there that are being kicked to the curb. I was in court most of the day today before coming here representing a father who was kicked out of the life of his 10-year-old, hasn't had any contact with his boy for a year and a half, and I've taken over that case, and I know what went wrong, and I'm going to fight and get him back in touch with his 10-year-old. But that is a miscarriage of justice, and I think in that case, the judge made a terrible mistake.
And therein lies a lot of problems, I think, with the justice system, which I'm sure you would agree with. Quickly, we talk about father's rights, but the mother or the female in that relationship needs to have a big part of this as well, doesn't
Exactly.
she? She needs to know what to do, education and things like that, and kind of give them a break, would you say?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it really takes 2 loving, involved parents to raise a child in an ideal situation, an involved mother and an involved father. And there are a lot of children that are growing up without mothers or fathers.
Right.
And that's a whole new can of worms.
That's your next book.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you, sir. Happy Father's Day to you and your 24-year-old who's out of town, but you're going to be at Real Men Cook, so you're going to have a good time.
Well, thank you.
When we return, one of the stars of the Style Network, Chicago.